All right, it is currently 9:21 a.m. on Saturday, February 15th, 2025. This is documentation regarding the ongoing criminal monitoring that the people of the state are engaging in with impunity. Indeed, as I remain subject to criminal surveillance, gang stalking by the people of the state that are criminally maintaining surveillance on behalf of the state of California, acting via the city of Ontario, that is engaging in what is psychological torture and criminal stalking of an unprecedented nature. They are gang stalking, group stalking with the people of the state. And this is a facilitating venue where the landlord, AVANATH Capital Management, headquartered in Orange County, a documented county and city as well, in Irvine. They're engaged in the P.O.C. and also AVANATH Capital Management is engaged in the P.O.C. by virtue of its property being the facilitating venue where the government and the people of the state are using this facilitating venue. It's designated as a facilitating venue, not a private property, and nothing that AVANATH Capital Management has any constitutionally protected rights to gang stalk through its employees, which it is, to gang stalk through the people of the state through whom they are profiting, which is a criminal act. And it is in opposition to public policy, which they are, AVANATH is. And they're also gang stalking in concert with the population that comes onto the grounds to engage in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state, with the state. And the state itself is gang stalking on the property, all around the property, and in the sky space of what is Woodside Senior Apartments. This is where the demon in unit number 55. Let me go ahead and document who this demon is first. She's going to a mental ward. This is the sky space where the entity is flying over by helicopter, flying over by commercial planes. This has no location anywhere near Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, where the entity kept the fake sun, as you can see directly above at 9:10 a.m. And at this time, on February 15, 2024, at 9:10 a.m., I captured this video. As you can see, it's 20 minutes long, 19 minutes and 34 seconds. So at the current time at 9:23 a.m., I am still capturing this video, meaning this fake sun is still outside of my window, outside of my office at Alvarado Gardens, facing the hillside, where the fake sun was also present over that hillside, rising in alignment to me in my living room window in Los Angeles, where there would never be any sun over Woodside Senior Apartments. This is speaking to the pattern of conduct that Woodside Senior Apartments, that the people of the state, that AVANATH Capital Management, that the city of Ontario, that the state of California is engaging in. All right. And they do so with impunity. And so I want to be clear. This is criminal conduct that AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted for. And they are doing so with the people of the state that are acting with impunity still and refusing to stop engaging in a sex offense. Obsessed with my genitalia and every minute move that I make, including my operation of my communication device. And that's exactly what I'm subject to while I am inside of this unit. And the demon that is in unit number 55. Gang stalking under this fake sun that's present at 9:24 in the morning. You'll see this gang stalker crossing path at this same apartment complex after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because this fake sun sits at Woodside Senior Apartments, where I am inside of unit 51. This demon in unit 55 is a chief means of amplified audible activity, which is serving to monitor me, which is criminal surveillance, which is very easy for the federal government to identify a domestic terrorist who is going to a mental ward. She is gang stalking as an entity, however, and everyone else physically surrounding me, where the fake sun is remaining over the apartment building for the duration of the day. And units 33 through 64 are going to federal prison with her. Her license plate is 5WUB as in boy, 715. She is heavily documented as a domestic terrorist and one that's employing war tactics. And this is that which the government is relying on, employing, approving of. Psychological torture. Those that are not college educated, those that are unemployed, those that are over the age of 55, that are never going to sleep, never abandoning position over me inside of an apartment, where you are stalking. You're stalking. It is the most pathetic existence, and this is the demon-possessed gang stalker inside of Unit 55, and she's gang stalking with a bunch of pathetic demons. Every single last one of them are gang stalking in violation of what is federal law. This is the HUD-regulated property of AVANATH Capital Management. Another basis for this demon in Unit 55, and everyone, all 144 units, are being prosecuted, including the landlord, for violating federal law. 34 USC section 12291, the Violence Against Women Act is clearly in violation at an unprecedented level, while I'm subject to a massive sex offense, corporate invasion of privacy, criminal interference with quiet enjoyment, and doing so with regard to what is criminal stalking and a violation of what is also federal stalking, Title 18, section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. All while these demons are gang stalking me inside of this private space, and they're all losing their housing benefits while doing so. And this is on the watch, which AVANATH Capital Management is subject to. So now what I want you to see is how this fake sun is sitting idle at Alvarado Gardens, where demons are monitoring me inside of a private space, not a private residence, and no one has any constitutionally protected rights in federal court. It's literally going to be a means of confirming your address, which the federal government already knows. There's no question that's going to be asked in court that the answer is not already known. Your confirmation of your address because you don't have any argument. This is the maintenance of the light source. All right, this is the specific environment where I am subject to surveillance, and even as you are looking at it, 9:26 a.m., the entity is keeping this light source stationary over Alvarado Gardens. This is what I'm looking at in my office. We're here, but it's 2024, okay? So I just want to go ahead and make that because I was... So I'm documenting, this is the light source outside of my leasing office in Los Angeles. The leasing office is located in between buildings 1808 North Alvarado Street and building 1810 North Alvarado Street. And I'm documenting the maintenance of this light source for the duration of the day. I also documented the sunrise outside of my apartment at the same property at Alvarado Gardens during the 7 a.m. hour, which, as you're paying attention to all of the documentation that I capture prosecuting Woodside Senior Apartments, where sex offenders are obsessively engaged in monitoring me inside of a private space. This is domestic terrorism that's underway in the United States, and the mentally ill, the demon possessed, are so sick that they are facing homelessness after I prosecute them for gang stalking with the government that incriminates them in federal court. This is why you have an elderly person over 55. This is why you have earthquake-like conduct, while you see them slowly crawling under the fake sun on a cane, but those are the same demons that are engaging in 24-hour psychological torture tactics while they're keeping my genitalia under surveillance on behalf of a corrupt government that is clearly exposed for engaging in what is gang stalking with the population, a population full of demons who are mentally ill, demons who are engaging in what is stalking one person together. Absurdly criminal and entirely disconcerting and disturbing. Okay, not only with regard to disturbing, with regard to the ongoing noise, which is a criminal invasion of quiet enjoyment. They're doing so while I'm showing you this specific environment. And so while I am showing you this environment, this is where the entity is keeping the fake sun. And this is what is under surveillance. While I am in operation of my phone, this is what I continuously document, the demon up in 55, because this is where the audible activity is sounding from. Understand, you're dealing with the demonic. It is as demonic as sunlight piercing through the peephole. The amplification of what is earthquake-like conduct, while those over 55 are crawling around on a cane, wanting to appear on you. And it's very foolish because while you appear on camera, you're going to prison. All right. But they want to appear on camera. Very foolish. There's no getting out of this prosecution because while you appear on camera, you are going to be prosecuted for gang stalking at the place where you reside. But wanting to appear as though they are weak and, not strong enough to engage in anything capable. Not capable of engaging in anything as monstrous as gang stalking someone, as perverted, all right, as demented as gang stalking. And I'm just giving over an argument because it's legally irrelevant and you are fully informed regarding the malice of the demon possessed. This is the same property where you see them gang stalking with the very eager Ontario Police Department. And they also aren't complaining about that helicopter activity uncharacteristic of a senior property at all hours, day and night, even creating sensational activity inside of this apartment, very much like I documented in Los Angeles at the Alvarado Gardens apartments. This is where I am operating my communication device. And as I engage in what you can see here, copy and paste, as I engage in this copy and paste conduct immediately with simultaneity to the operation of my communication device, which I am subject to criminal surveillance while I operate it in violation of Title 18, you are simultaneously violating what is a means of technical abuse. I'm being psychologically tortured while I'm being criminally surveilled on the video of the internet and on my devices. They are simultaneously violating what is a federal intersection of laws, if you will, the Violence Against Women Act. I'm subject to psychological torture. It's within a pattern of conduct. It's also sexually violent because they're monitoring everything. And this is through the demons that are living in the apartment. This is in the specific environment, which is legally relevant, where I am subject to this environment, which is uncharacteristic of what would be a senior citizen complex on its face. But even beyond that, I have hard evidence speaking to a pattern of conduct that the elderly are surrounded by. And as I surround the elderly with evidence that's putting everyone in prison in units 33 through 64, the city of Ontario is being prosecuted for gang stalking with them. All right. This is where I'm showing you. I just want to be clear with regard to this pattern of conduct, even while it's present I captured the fake sun this morning at 7 7:51 a.m. in perfect alignment with me. Even pay attention, even as I close the door, you can see this light source perfectly aimed through the crack of the door. And then as I open the door, you're looking at it at this great distance. This is demonic. Okay. In the same way that this light around the frame of the door is demonic. That's how you go from looking at it perfectly aimed through the crack of the door to appearing at a distance where that would not create any sort of positioning where you would visually see that light source that's always capable of maintaining that presence in the path with me. That's real-time demonic activity as I'm just honing in on what you are looking at and you're not paying attention to. This is where I am being psychologically tortured. This is where I'm being harassed. This is where I'm being terrorized by stalkers whose address the federal government knows exactly where they are and what they're doing. Because there is no son that would be over outside of my leasing office like I captured today at the same time. And the entity is acting with impunity and notable malice while I remain subject to it. And it is evident while the fake son sits over the venue all day long. That is going towards your impunity. While you are living at the crime scene where the fake son sits all day long and I'm being molested and terrorized with impossible light, appearing and disappearing, occurring with simultaneity, the same light activity, that which they're engaging with amplified audible activity, with the same code of the demons that are monitoring, with simultaneity to what I do, even on a communication device, including doing more of it as I document the terrorizing conduct. This is what a gang stalking landlord is going to be civilly and criminally liable for. Okay. So I want to make sure I capture this video as while I'm at it. I just want to be clear. Not only is the fake son
reviewing some of my documentation and aiming
as I am
remaining, I just want 24, and that's what I mean to say when I am quickly rattling through the information as it's happening in real time. So anyway, this is the specific environment, the maintenance of the light source. This is directed light, and the entity engages in.
So while
aiming.
I am capturing the light source, I just want to be clear. This is where I captured I live and worked at the same apartment complex. So I go to building 1806, and this is where I captured the sunrise at 7:04 a.m. at Alvarado Gardens, and versus what would be 45 minutes later. This is where an entire population is gang stalking a woman. This is speaking to a population of sex offenders. This is speaking to a government that is going to be prosecuted as a sexually perverted public entity that is gang stalking me. And that specific environment is the evidence of it. You have sex offenders that are preying on me regarding their obsession with what's going on with my genitalia and using commercial airplanes to do so. Okay, focused on me, obsessed. Remember, stalking is born of obsession. This is the environment where I'm capturing what is the impossible. 45 minutes later, the sun is going to somehow be over Woodside Senior Apartments. And you already know the evidence at Woodside Senior Apartments is such that where the sun rises in the morning, this is where it remains till the end of the day. All right. This is where the entity is maintaining this light source. And this is where an entity is gang stalking me and psychologically torturing, harassing, and terrorizing as I document sex offenders who continuously engage in terrorizing me. All right. Linda Reyes, this is a gang stalking community manager. She's going to prison. All right. Every other employee working for AVANATH Capital Management is going to prison at Woodside Senior Apartments. And they are doing so while you are looking at the light source that is rising over through my living room window.
It is Thursday, February 15, 2024. And this is 7:05 in the morning. I want to be.
And this is in perfect alignment with my living room window. And this is the light activity inside of my apartment. Evidence of stalking with light, just like you see inside of this apartment here at Woodside Senior Apartment.
Even manifest in this way. It's not going to manifest at all actually inside of the apartment. This is laser light conduct and it shows through. I also want to show you again, the blinds are closed. This is also why.
All right. This is akin to what you're looking at the pattern of conduct here. Sunlight does not pierce through a peephole. Okay. It's not the product of sunlight. Sunlight is not that which is so concentrated. It's going to pierce through. The sun is in the sky space above. You have what is abnormally strong, peculiarized light, engineered light, in order to maintain a method of glowing light all around while I'm under surveillance. Sunlight is not just manifesting out of nowhere on the ceiling inside of the apartment, framing the door where it remains day and night, even in the absence of the sun, such as a cloudy day. The same framing of engineered light, which is nothing other than gray colored. None of this is the product of sunlight. This is the same pattern of conduct underway inside of my apartment in Los Angeles, where I did capture the sunrise this morning in 2024. And this is where the fake sun remains as I document And you also know that this is where the fake sun, and I'm referencing LA. The entity kept the fake sun over me in LA. We're the LAPD, which is speaking to what the state of California is doing, keeping a light source, which is speaking to a pattern of conduct that remains underway. This is my front door at 10:12 a.m. All right, the entity is keeping a light source here in Woodside Senior Apartments, and doing so with regard to what I've already documented. It's currently 9:36 a.m., and this is where the entity keeps the fake sun for the duration of the day in perfect alignment with me. And this is within the well-documented pattern of conduct, and this is where a sex offense is underway. All right, and everybody in units 33 through 64 are going to federal prison for it. All gang stalking households with children are going to lose custody of those children, and they have willfully continuously engaged in it with knowledge of that. All gang stalking immigrants are going to be subject to deportation. All right, the entity is engaged. All gang stalkers, period, are going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism, and this is a citywide effort. All right, all gang stalking mayors shall be removed from office, etc., etc. There is no position where the sun is over my front door in Los Angeles, California at 10:12 a.m., and I've already documented the gang stalking landlord, Linda Reyes, under this light source during at around the same time, which is, again, we'll just look at that really quickly regarding what is the pattern of conduct as it pertains to what is the P.O.C. that I'm capturing. Here it is down here. This video was captured days ago on January 31st, 2025 at what is, looks like 10:28 a.m. All right, this is a negligible difference, 10:28 a.m. and 10:12 a.m. The fake sun remained over me in Los Angeles, and there is no natural environment that's going to coexist with the sun remaining over my front door in Los Angeles, facing the hillside, the same hillside where the sunrise was at 7 in the morning. 3 hours later, there's no movement of the sun. I've captured the pattern of conduct in Los Angeles, and I'm capturing the pattern of conduct here in Ontario. And the sun is not over Alvarado Gardens while it's sitting idle over this building where I am subject to a sex offense and ongoing terrorism, corporate and criminal invasion of quiet interference with quiet enjoyment because they are stalking me inside of the apartment. Okay, that is, again, psychological torture, which cannot be quantified. All right, but the entity, justice requires you're going to put a dollar amount, and damages are designed to devastate that corrupt gang stalking company that is maliciously providing its corporate its corporation as a means of gang stalking with the state. All right. And this is why you have the AVANATH capital management employees going to prison. It's an intolerable level of facilitation. All right, so I want to get this video so you can see gang stalking by the community manager. Everybody else, including the community manager, are gang stalking. And this is speaking to what is also the basis for prison. And doing so as an entity. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. All right, again, this is Linda Reyes. This is the prosecution of AVANATH Capital Management as a landlord as well.
All right, and you are living in the path where the entity is maintaining amplified audible activity on an ongoing basis, monitoring activity by them. It is also a contribution to the delinquency of minors. It is currently 10:55 a.m. Hi. It's 10:55 a.m. and that is P.O.C. And she is monitoring with the people of the state that are surrounding, and she is intentional.
And that is the gang stalking landlord, doing so, crossing path, creating audible activity, light activity under that light source, and doing so with regard to the pattern of conduct that remains underway at a specific environment where you have no constitutionally protected right to work at the facilitating environment, enabling the government, who's relying on presence, all manner of presence, operations of business, living at the crime scene, working at the crime scene, visiting the crime scene, where the entity is engaged in gang stalking. This is exactly what the Los Angeles Police Department were engaging in at Alvarado Gardens. This is exactly what the state of California has been engaged in doing, as I have documented it for a prolonged period of time. And this same apartment building here in at Unit 51 is where I'm at. This is where the fake sun remains. That's 10:55 in the morning. The entity's keeping the fake sun. This is a matter of juxtaposing the two crime scenes. 10:12 in the morning. The sun doesn't go anywhere. In Los Angeles, it remains, as I document, well into the afternoon, while the entity is keeping that light source over me. We can get close to 10:48 a.m.
They're pacing. Imagine And here's the light source.
All right, that which is over Linda Reyes, which is in front of me, it's called stalking with the light source, which I've already established. This is not the sun. It is the evidence of what is stalking by a population. It is the evidence of a high level of malice, diabolical level of malice, malice that is life-threatening to the target individual. It is unfathomable, and it is also that which is criminal facilitation by the landlord itself, AVANATH Capital Management, who is gang stalking with the people of the state who are indeed interfering with quiet enjoyment while they are as a community stalking with noise. That is psychological torture, which cannot be quantified. And those damages are designed to devastate that company that should not, as a matter of justice, even operate any longer, gang stalking American citizens throughout the state of California. AVANATH Capital Management has many properties in California and throughout the country. I just want to be clear, that which is over at 10:48 a.m. and 10:55 in the morning at Alvarado Gardens and Woodside Senior Apartments, that's identifying the pattern of conduct. All right. And the entity kept the light source on this day for the duration of the day, because this is why you document, in order to prove that which you cannot imagine in your mind. And I understand that. That's why I document it. This is the light source that's still at the same property, remaining over me wherever it is that I am for the duration of the day, rising and setting at Alvarado Gardens. This is the totality of my documentation in Los Angeles. This is what the entity is doing at Woodside Senior Apartments. And like you see, in the middle of the day, let's get the light source at Woodside Senior Apartments, where I am subject to 24 hours psychological torture. This is 1:55 in the afternoon, okay? And I want to document again 9:43 a.m. as I begin playing the video, ongoing amplified audible activity of hostile demons who are defiant toward federal law. That's going toward how long they're sitting in federal prison and in mental asylums, while monitoring evidence as well, criminal obstruction of justice. And this is also attributed to the state. It's P.O.C. That's the same impossible light activity framing the front door at 1:55 in the afternoon that you see in the morning time, okay? It's not sunlight. And I'm documenting what is criminal interference with quiet enjoyment. So let me let you hear that again. All right, that's called impossible audible activity. The amplified sound of cracking walls and ceiling while the demon living in unit 55 is the chief means of the state keeping me under surveillance that is following my every move, psychologically torturing and harassing as I document, just like I'm documenting throughout this video, and the ongoing conduct that's happening under a fake sun that is not possibly over Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles at the same time either. This is juxtaposing the crime scene, and it's putting the criminal cases against the state actors, Los Angeles County and San Bernardino County, for example, when you get to a big picture analysis. And it's also proving to you what are the demon possessed who are engaged in domestic terrorism in this country, while you are witnessing and revealing what is their secret: severe mental illness that is a threat to national security. This is where the fake sun is over me in the middle of the afternoon, while it's stationary over Alvarado Gardens over me. The same building where it's over me as I'm documenting at 7:51 in the morning today. Again, this is at 1:55 in the afternoon. The same apartment building where the gang stalking property manager, Linda Reyes, is gang stalking me at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is idle presence over the same building, in the same way that Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, idle presence over the same property over me where I'm at work, and when I'm in my apartment, the fake sun remains over my apartment. Okay, this is the P.O.C. And the entity is acting with ongoing documented impunity, ongoing malice, and they do so on behalf of the government. This is directly relevant to the ways in which the corrupt government, there is no ambiguity, all right? It is absolutely unequivocal with regard to who is going to be removed from office, who is subject to a federal prosecution, Who is going to be subject to criminal liability and civil liability, and who is going to prison. Okay? The entity is doing so with impunity as I remain subject to this.
That's the people of the state that are gang stalking inside of a private space along with the demon in Unit 55.
All right, so that's amplified traffic. In other words, that's what I'm narrating right there. The sound of the traffic, everything that you're hearing in engineered light is intentional with regard to criminal monitoring. It's happening under a fake sun. The population is a bunch of gang stalking sex offenders. And they are monitoring with the demons that are amplifying noise inside of my apartment, stalking in the path while demonic noise is created inside of my apartment, in the demonic environment where a fake sun remains in alignment to me inside of this apartment. That belongs to, by the way, to Tracy Banks, a third-party group stalking relative. Okay? And everybody else with that same status, including Eric Corey Spencer, they're going to be put in prison. Tracy Banks is going to a mental asylum, Eric Corey Spencer, prison. And every criminally defamatory word uttered in any gang stalking court in California, they're going to prison for criminal defamation and furtherance of kidnapping and murdering me. And they're gang stalking me with the population who I show you are surrounding me and in a specific environment, acting with my gang stalking family that tried to sacrifice me. This is in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. And this is what the government, the state of California, is engaged in, sacrificing American citizens. All right, doing so while you are subject to an unprecedented sex offense, corporate invasion of privacy by a population of people, and they are all demon possessed as well. And it's exposing public corruption. This is what's relevant while I'm subject to, again, harassment inside of the apartment, while I am publishing evidence onto the website. You can see the website. There is a lot more evidence than what you can see on YouTube. This is the POC.wordpress.com. This is the evidence of one of many criminal acts committed by the court that evaded service of process, that brought fictitious prosecutions in furtherance of kidnapping me. These are the types of evidence that I'm publishing onto the website. And as I'm publishing it while I'm in operation of my communication device in the specific environment, this is how you're tethering what is federal stalking while the criminal pattern of conduct of criminal surveillance, gang stalking, is underway. And it is, intersecting with Violence Against Women Act, which this HUD regulated property is in violation of. And it's not just the demons in units 1 through 44. The ones that are going to prison that are physically surrounding, 33 through 64 are going to prison. But the AVANATH Capital Management, the landlord itself, is civilly criminally liable, violating the Violence Against Women Act. All right. This is, again, unprecedented criminal conduct, and it's an unprecedented federal prosecution on multiple bases. And I remain subject to it, which is speaking to the impunity of the state. It is currently 9:48 a.m. The entity is maintaining this light source over the venue, and I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video with it. The entity is keeping the fake sun on this day over me in Los Angeles, California at Alvarado Gardens. As I documented day in and day out, the sunrise and the sunset over me in Los Angeles, and now the entity is engaged in an outright departure, under no circumstances having any plan in federal court to even be able to maintain a position such that it's the natural environment and that they're doing anything other than what is supernatural, malicious, gang stalking. All right, this is the fake sun that remains over Woodside Senior Apartments. This is P.O.C. Currently 9:49 a.m.